right. Everybody hear me okay? All right. Um, let's open in prayer. Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to share tonight our trip in Guatemala. I know everyone here, everyone that went, Lord, was very encouraged and very humbled, and we're just excited to share all that was done there. We thank you, Lord, for your presence there. We thank you for being with us, to ministering to our hearts and to the people of Guatemala. And Lord, we just pray tonight that that you bless our time together, that you work in the hearts that everyone that hears this. And we just thank you, Lord, for the body here in Belle Plaine and just the opportunity that you've given us to share tonight and the opportunity to go to Guatemala. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so like we just prayed, on behalf of all of us, we want to just say thank you for making it possible for us to go. I think after hearing us talk tonight, you'll know we all had a very good time. That doesn't do it justice, but we'll talk further about that. But we do want to say thank you for making it possible for us to go. We should probably introduce ourselves because I know there's maybe some new folks here tonight. So my name is Scott Sayre. This is Lauren Jacoby, Elise Jacoby, Phil Drehas, Sam Drehas, Elle Jacoby, and Lydia Kramer. So the seven of us went with 12 other people from Grace Community Church in North Liberty. So they really led the trip or figured out all the logistics and did all of the planning and stuff like that. We were just able to kind of go with them. So to start, I'm going to share just a little bit about Bethel. That's the missionary team that's there in Guatemala full time. And then we'll get into some more fun stuff like the pictures and stories and stuff like that. So up on the screen there, the guy driving in the green hat there is Ben, and the girl in the back seat is his wife, Emily. They are, I would guess them to be somewhere around 35 maybe. They have two daughters, and they're the ones that are serving full-time there in Guatemala with Bethel Ministries International. And they have the whole country of Guatemala, and throughout the country, their mission ministers to people all over the country, but they have regional people set up around the country to know each community and understand the needs and kind of take in families that are in tough situations. So they took over the ministry. So they've been running it for about 5 years, and it was Ben's parents that ran the ministry prior to that, and they were on the mission field for 30 years, for the previous 30 years. So about 35 years they've been serving there in Guatemala. And Ben describes Bethel as a ministry of physical helps. So here's just a list. We didn't realize going that Bethel does all of these different things, but here's a list of different ways they provide physical helps. So wheelchairs, they have an active role in the handicapped community by giving out wheelchairs, and they give out a Bible with every wheelchair. They do clothing scholarships, educational scholarships. They build houses, build stoves, like cooking stoves, like a wood-fired cooking stove. They have food sponsorships. They have a school for handicapped children, and they have a future plan of building a clinic to help people with bed sores. So, and we'll kind of get into that a little further. So on the trip, the four things that we all got to do is we did a concrete pad. We built a concrete pad for a house. Then we built a house. We did home visits, and we distributed wheelchairs. So I'm going to try to explain how all that works together. So I mentioned Bethel is a ministry of physical helps. They firmly believe that people will be much more receptive to the gospel if they have their physical needs met. And I'm just talking like, very, very basic, food, clothing, shelter, very basic physical needs. So they use these physical needs, these helps, as a gateway to share the gospel. And Ben and Emily both are very, very firm in that they will never not talk about Jesus. And they do get approached by a lot of organizations that just want to offer physical help to people, and they want to leave the gospel out. They want to leave Jesus out of it, and they won't participate in that. In a number of different ways, no matter what they're doing, they're sharing the gospel, they're praying with people, and they're providing a Bible to people. And a lot of times, this may be their first Bible that they've had in their own language, so it's pretty cool. Their goal is on the back of our shirts, and it says, Elise, you want to stand up and show them the back of the shirt? It says, you guys probably can't read that, Una vida a la vez, which means one life at a time. And that made sense to us the more that we were there, because everywhere you look around, there is tremendous need, and it's overwhelming to see it. I mean, you want to be able to help everybody, but the motto there is to remember to stay focused on the individual in front of you, so that you can be intentional about helping them and sharing the gospel with them. So they have another little saying, and it's not about the wheels, meaning the wheels in the wheelchair. The wheelchair is a tool, but it's about showing people that they have value and that God loves them. And so I think I'm going to stop there for a minute, and we'll get into talking just a little bit about the slides and kind of what all the things that we did. And you guys can definitely ask questions. Well, we did not rehearse this a ton, so it's not some polished presentation. So if anybody has a question, just raise your hand and we'll call out. Sure.
Can you guys hear me? Dad, can you hear me? That's the question. So some of these pictures are not great, but we're just kind of showing you what we did from beginning to end and everything in between. And like Scott said, we haven't practiced this, so it could be interesting. But if you guys have any questions or want to talk to us afterwards, we would love to talk to you. All of us would about this. So this is just a picture of us in line for the airplane. We had to go through customs. We had to walk really, really fast / run. Some people had to dive onto the little, what is that called?
The train.
The tram that goes around the airport. Like, we were running late sometimes, but God got us everywhere we needed to be. So it was great. This next picture is just showing I got my camera back from Elise, and I had maybe 500 pictures of this and 500 pictures of the sky. So if you ever want to see some, I have plenty. She took a lot. That's just another picture. And then lots of beautiful pictures of the sky. So, and if you guys want to grab the microphone. This is part of Guatemala. connections and that they go to. Um, and this is just a little bit closer up of all those places. And then I think they had a couple that were north of that they went to. And Nicaragua too, they have all kinds of places they go and things they do, and then they just have local people that are kind of in control of them, so.
So we just on that map, we flew into Guatemala City, which is a city of about 9 million people, and the whole country is 18 million, I think it was. And so the Guatemala City is kind of right there in the lower part of the TV there, but it's right in the middle. And we got there at so our plane left at 5 a.m. Saturday morning, left Cedar Rapids. So I think I got up at 1:30. But anyways, we get there, and we knew we had a little bit of a drive, and so we were kind of all afraid to ask how far of a drive, or I was at least. And like 4.5 hours after we were there at 3 p.m. or something. So we had some long days, for me anyways.
And this is just the group of us. So it was the 7 of us and then the 12 of us from Grace Community Church in North Liberty. I know Scott was talking about when we got to the airport at first, it was the 7 of us and the 12 of them. And it was like, oh God, please let it not be like that this whole week. And by the end of it, you were like, I don't want to sit by you anymore. I want to sit by one of them. We were all just great friends, and it was a wonderful team to work with. So that was our team. And I think these pictures are they're all sorted how they should be. So this one is a food one. So Scott said how we gave out food to the families. This is actually at their warehouse. And if someone were to come up to the warehouse, they would give them a thing of food, and they would pray with them, and there's a Bible in there. And so everybody that gets food from them is going to get prayed over and told the gospel. So that was pretty amazing. So that is where they store the food. Yeah, it's about 3 weeks of food. It was pretty dire conditions there, even in their warehouse. Lots of kids that have nothing. We brought along toys and candy for them. And there was one house visit we went on where this little girl comes riding up on one of those little red and yellow coupes, that we have here, but hers was falling apart. But she rides up to me, and then she leans back to look in my bag to see if I have any candy for her. They're ready for candy and a little toy, and that's all they have. There's no toys hanging around to play with.
Is that a home visit there?
That's not the one I did.
Okay.
This is one of the homes that we saw on our home visit. This was the nicest home we saw. Yeah, it was really a good home there, and it had one room. That was the room. And so that was it. And then this is one of Lydia's favorite pictures. This is the wildlife of Guatemala. They're dogs. So they have dogs everywhere, like hundreds of dogs everywhere. So you just see them trotting along the highway. They are also not fed. The kids and the families aren't fed, so they don't feed the dogs either. So that's what they look like pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, this little boy was on our first day. He was kind of curious what we were up to, and we had pulled up to build a foundation, I think, and he was just curious. And the people there and the culture, very friendly, very I'd say very caring, very warm-hearted people. They're huggers, which I appreciate, but just very, very warm people. And on those home visits, it's kind of okay to talk about that. It's kind of the start of of how they do their mission work. So these regional people identify the families that need help. And basically, you go out with Ben and Emily. One of them, they're both very fluent, as you can imagine, with Spanish. So one of them's talking to the family, and the other one is doing basically an intake form, answering all these questions and gathering information on the family. And it's basic questions like, do you have food? Do you have clothing? Do you have shelter? Are the kids going to school? Is anybody sick? And some of the common things that we heard while we were there, hernias were very, very common. Like that first day when we were building the foundation, there's these little kids. I'm talking, 5 years old or younger, and they're helping carry all the sand over, and big buckets, and so you can quickly see how why there's so many hernias, but very, very hardworking people. Another thing, seems like there was a lot of kidney disease and a lot of diabetes, and they're big fans of Coca-Cola, and so they drink a lot of Coke. So we'd be working, it was hot. It was mid 90s, and they would go to the store, buy Coca-Cola, bring it back over, and give us a glass of it, and you felt bad, but you're like, I just want some water, but you kind of guzzled it down, but so the home visit, anyways, all of these questions we're doing, they're getting basically the information that Bethel needs to determine if they can address any physical needs. And then they're definitely asking also, how's your heart with God? And that was probably one of the hardest things, and one of the most encouraging things for me personally when you see that, because these people have very, very little in terms of physical possessions, but yet they're spiritually and emotionally they're a lot better off than a lot of us, I think, at times. So it was cool to see them. But that home visit is kind of the first step. They do all that intake, and then they determine if Bethel can help. And then, like, the house build came out of that home visit. They determined that this family might need a house, and so we got to do that.
And this is just a picture of the place that we stopped every morning. We went to the mayor's house, and there was a huge amount of area where we kept most of our supplies. So we would load up every day. And the native that's in this picture is Rosie, and she didn't think she spoke good English, but it was way better than our Spanish. And she was able to interpret for us, and so she came along with us every day just to volunteer her time. So she was just doing that out of the love of Jesus. And this picture is this is one of the houses that we went and put a stove in. So we were able to put stoves in these houses and ventilate out through the roof, because they are just used to having the smoke in the house all day long. And so we would be able to put in a stove that would actually work a lot better than what they had, and then vent it through. So this is one of the families. And the families live maybe like a foot away from the next family. There's just all these houses, and they're not even related to them. So like this one had 7 kids, and then the next door one had 5 kids. So we did stoves for each, but very close to your neighbors. So. And this is a picture of Ben sharing the gospel. So he would pull the Bible out that we were giving for those home visits and share the gospel every time. And like Scott said, these people knew Jesus, and he would say, "What do you know about Jesus? And what do you know about God?" And they would talk about Jesus being their Savior and how God is always there for them. And it was amazing to see, because we look at that and think they have nothing, and they have everything they need. So it was clothes. That little girl is standing by Elise. They're supposed to get one pair of shoes and then clothes, and so she asked for 3 pairs of shoes. so we gave her 3. But they love these new clothes because they are wearing things that are just we wouldn't even use them for rags. They're not even worth rags, and so they were really excited about that.
I think a lot of the kids would immediately when they got them, they'd run and go change and put them on so before we would leave so they could, see them in their new clothes, which was cute, cool.
This was from a house visit that I did with Elise and Sam and Philip, and this one was heartbreaking. Kids hadn't eaten that day, neither the mom, obviously, but they hadn't eaten. And the day before, there had been some people that had brought some bread and milk, so they had eaten. The day before that, they hadn't, and the day before that, the 6 of them, this is not the dad in here, but the 6 of them had 2 eggs to split between the 6 of them. And so they just sat there the whole time until the picture, and then they did stand up to get the picture, but these kids had no energy. That one we were all crying, I think. But when Ben was doing his intake form, he was putting, okay, food assistance, we're going to, and so they have people come in to help them. So it was so good to not just give them the 3 weeks of food and be like, good luck, we've got something coming better. So that was good. Yeah, her husband's not in this picture, but he had an appendix attack, had actually gotten his appendix removed, but went septic, almost died. And she said, this is when we became the closest to God, and now we know who God is. And her husband was not in this picture because he was out trying to find work because he lost his job during that whole time. And it was 2 months after the surgery. So he wasn't there. But we actually found a way that we're able to pay for that surgery. So we're going to get them so the surgery's paid for, and they've got a baseline to go from. So that was good. This is a picture of the stoves. So this is what they cook on. Underneath it is a whole bunch of wood, and that lasts about a day. And that was like the best looking stove I think we saw. And this is Saul. So he is actually married to Ben the missionary, his sister, and he's a native. And he put in a lot of the stoves, and so that was the stove we got to put in. I don't know if you can see that where that orange brick is. That's where the wood is, and that wood will last for a full day. So instead of going out and trying to find the wood, they've got just a little bit that they need each day. And this is what they use for, to ignite the fire. It is rubber from the gum trees there, and they would go peel it off, and it burns really well. So that's what they get to use. In the video that we showed, I don't know if you saw the video of them playing catch, but they had taken some of this and made it into a ball, and that's what they were playing catch with. And this is just the stove. So we built these stoves. I think each of us did 3 or 4 stoves that we built. And in the houses that we built, also we put stoves in, but Saul would show them how to use them because they'd never had anything like this. Lots of the kids would peek their heads in to watch what was going on, and so then I would try to take a picture, and then they would hide. But they were all smiles. And this one is one of the moms making tortillas. That's basically what they eat, lots and lots of tortillas. So we had lots and lots of tortillas if we wanted them. And then that's the mom, and she had, how many kids do you remember, Lydia? 5 or 6? 5 or 6 kids, I think, is what she had. They were pretty excited to see that fancy stove. And like I said, all the kids wanted candy, so that is some of the kids in this little area that lined up to get some candy. And this is how a lot of us traveled around. And there's speed bumps, I don't know, every 2 feet it felt like, but maybe every quarter mile there's a speed bump. And so,
Yeah,
what?
big ones.
Yeah, big speed bumps. And so there were a couple of them that they missed slowing down. So the people that were in the back were, yeah, they almost went out. Yep. But that is one of the trucks that we would travel in. When we did the first house, this is the path we had to take down to the first house. So you have to carry all your materials down this. Yeah, we had to, yeah, the toilet was one of the heaviest things. But yeah, lots of things to carry down the path. And this is one of the pictures of the sand. So we mixed our own cement. So we had the sand and the rocks and the cement. And then the moms would be pulling out of the well. The moms would be pulling the water out and then putting the big 5-gallon bucket on their shoulder and then bringing it over to us. And they wanted me to do that too. And like put it up there. It's like, I am sure I can't do that. But they're pretty tough there. So tiny little moms that are carrying this water over. But Elle did a lot of cement. She did 2 days work of cement. So she just scooped cement for 2 days straight. So they were calling her the machine. And there's Lydia. Lydia and I worked on that pile of sand for quite a while there. This is one of the guys that was on the trip with us. So basically just had to bring wheelbarrows full to the spot because they couldn't get it that close because you've got lots of little houses around and things around. And that's the cement. So how big was the slab, do you guys know?
That's what I was thinking.
16
Yeah,
by 20 maybe?
yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
We had a guy named Hyro that was helping us, and he showed us how to do it, and we had to make it level this way and level this way, and it had to be with the plumb line. And so we were working on one side of the house, and he got 3 sides done. And then he came over and started helping us, and then he shook his head and he said, Lauren. He said, I'm doing the best I can. So then he redid our row too, but we tried. And actually this picture is Hyro's in the middle, and those boys are holding him up because he's a short little guy, but hard worker. And this is just a picture of us putting together one of the walls for the houses. That was the nice thing, is all of us could do this stuff, and we had no idea. We had no previous experience, and they would show us how to do it and give us our drill, and we would go and do it. And so I think we all felt pretty comfortable by the end doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is just 3 of the walls up of the house. And we would put up a gutter, and then they would just tell us which side to put the cap on, and then they would put a barrel at the end so that they can save some of the rainwater, so they can have some clean water.
Yeah, the houses were really, I think they said they were on their like 6th design for the house, and it's very basic, one big room, but tallest wall in the back and just a single slope roof. So it all pitches forward to that gutter, and then they collect that rainwater, and then there was a kind of a translucent piece of siding in the back to let light in, and 2 windows for some good ventilation, and a door that actually locks, which never saw that down there. Saw a lot of doorways, but no real doors. So.
And the bathrooms were like, the bathrooms were interesting, but it would be like a tarp around it. And so then like one of us would stand in front really big to like cover the hole because it was just like open.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And that's Sam working on a house. And then they're putting up that gutter. And you can see kind of in this picture in the way back, there's a little stove, so we would put stoves in these also. Working on putting it together. I was having a hard time getting that thing level, so I had to pull out so that they could screw it in. Sometimes it was a little difficult. And then they made the window, like put the panes in, so they had to hold those in. That's what they're doing. And this is the first house that we built. We're inside there, we're putting together the beds. And then this little girl is taking a nap. So that's how the mom does all the stuff she does, by wrapping her on there. And these are the fancy toilets that we built. So that's like a huge upgrade, believe it or not. There aren't seats on any of the toilets. Even when we were at the mayor's house, they had a normal toilet like ours, but it did not have a seat, so it was odd. And no, yeah, you can't flush the toilet paper, so that's interesting. The first thing we did when we got to our first hotel is we plugged the toilet. So, I mean, it was like, shoot. Not what we wanted to go for, but anyway, we got better at that. Then we get home, and then you don't want to throw away toilet paper because you're paranoid.
Over that hole is, or over the toilet's just a huge, it's like 36-inch hole, but it's super deep. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's way down there. And that's,
Dig it by hand.
yeah, no, you don't see any equipment down there.
This is just one of the bunk beds that we made. So we gave every house a bunk bed and then a bed for the parents. And the bed for the parents is in between a twin and a full. There's whatever that size is. I don't think we really have it in America, but that's the size that the parents got. And we gave all the kids a soccer ball, and then they also did get a Bible that was in Spanish. And then decorated the house for them and cleaned it up. When we did the cement, we had pigs and cows walk across it when it was still wet. So they have and chickens. Yeah, we had so many chickens. so that will be in the cement forever because that can't get that out. But when we were sweeping it, like Lydia was sweeping it, and it's just like the cement kind of keeps coming up, and they said, "Don't. It will continue to keep coming up. So just this is good enough." And this is the first family that we built the house for. So we ended up, I don't know if you said, we ended up building 3 houses while we were down there. So this is the first family. And that's what the house looks like when it's finished. They paint it blue. They said it lasts about 15 years when it's painted. So otherwise the rain is so bad down there that it wouldn't last but a couple years. That's us with the family.
And there was a 5-year-old boy named Din, and he was just one of the best kids I've ever met. He would be so happy no matter what. And once I was chasing him around because I didn't really have a job, and his sister came over and chucked a rock at him because she was jealous or something. And then he started crying. Then, like probably 2 minutes later, he starts laughing again because he was just so happy. And I miss him so much.
This is just a picture where we built some cement to put the sink there. That orangish reddish thing is a sink. That's where they wash dishes. That's where they clean their clothes. And it's all outside. They're not doing any of that inside. This is another family that we built a house for. They played Duck, Duck, Goose. We taught them how to play Duck, Duck, Goose, so they played a lot of that. And the kids were cutting across the middle and going backwards and, just cheating left and right. And it was great to see. They were having so much fun. This is a picture of the warehouse where all the wheelchairs are taken care of. Basically, if they get a wheelchair from the States, they take it apart, clean it, put it together again, and fix it. So this guy had started, I think this was Marcos, is that right? I think so. And he's been working there for 32 years. So he started it, and so Bethel just kind of came in and gave them a place to do it and the resources to do it. So he is in a wheelchair. Everyone that works there is in a wheelchair except for the person that works on the motorized wheelchairs. And then he's the one that's doing it, reaching the tall things for all these people that are in the wheelchairs so they can keep working on fixing them. And then this is another one that along with Marcus, he started the wheelchair ministry also. And the disabled things we would have fixed in the States within the first couple months of being born. You put a brace on their back and fix it, or on their feet. They don't have that. So I saw just walking down the street, this isn't even someone we were going to help, and he was walking on the tops of his feet because they were turned so much. So it's just everywhere. The term that they use for disabled people is minus value, is what it translates to. So they have less, it's less than no value. They have minus value. So they are the lowest of the lowest. So something like this will change their lives. And that's just a picture of the wheelchairs. This is wheelchair day. So Hyro was one of the helpers, the local helpers, and David, and they loaded up these wheelchairs and brought it to us like that so we could unload them. There's 40 wheelchairs on there, plus walkers and crutches. And that's wheelchair day. So we learned, I know nothing about this stuff, but now I do, but we learned to put on seat belts and padding and make sure that they were, the wheelchair was wide enough for them, take off the foot pedals and put them to the right spot.
Foot strap, like a foot
Yeah.
strap that goes around.
Yep, a foot strap, yep. That's actually handing out candy right here. Even the adults want some candy, so. And this is one of their schools. So school was not in session until February 15th. They take off like December, January, and February. So this was the day before school was going to start. So we just peeked our head in there and got a picture of the classroom. And so there were two classrooms, this one and the one past it. And that would be for everyone in that village. Did you talk?
Not really.
Bethel has also started a school for disabled people. So this is their school. They have a 1-to-4 ratio, so 1 teacher per 4 kids. So they have 12 students right now and 3 teachers. And so that was pretty amazing to see because, like I said, these kids would not have any hope. So
They said, like, those kids have been in the same class for 3 years, and when the students first got there, they wouldn't even make eye contact with the teachers because their self-esteem was just so low. And now they're, when they get visitors and stuff, the kids are actually sharing their testimonies with strangers. So they've seen a tremendous turnaround in the kids' development.
And this picture you can see in the background is the school. That little shed is the school. And this has been, again, the missionary down there. In that area behind him, he wants to make into a clinic to help people with bed sores. In the States, bed sores are well managed versus that's what kills people. Yeah, they said it's the #1 killer of disabled people is bed sores. So he wants to put a clinic there. It's really, really hard to get land in Guatemala, and they own this. So he's got the land. He's just got to have the resources for it. As a pharmacist, I needed to get a picture in front of a pharmacy. So that's what their pharmacies look like. That's one of the nicest ones. And you can get any over-the-counter and any prescription medication without a prescription. I didn't get any, though. I wanted to add a list, but then I felt like I couldn't get it. But
We talked about it a lot.
yeah, there's another pharmacy. They're just everywhere, just little boxes of medication. But Elise is holding a 10-pound bag of candy, so we had to get 20 more pounds of candy to hand out to these kids. So, and there's also candy in the back. I did bring some home, so everybody should try a piece of Guatemalan candy. It's not bad. And this is at one of the houses that we went to, the first home visit we went to. These were not their cows, so a lot of them don't own their houses, and they don't own the animals that are running around. They are just taking care of them for someone, so they can't. It's not like you can say, well, just go kill your chicken and you'll have food. It's not even their chicken, so. Running out of time. This is what you see all the time is lots of people in one vehicle. hotel we were in. Didn't realize how good it was until we went to this hotel. This one looks good. It wasn't. This is the room with Elise and Ellen. We couldn't even bring ourselves to lay underneath the covers because it was damp. So anyway, that made us appreciate the hotel before. And then the last day we were in Guatemala City, and we had a beautiful hotel, and it was great. That was fancier than any American hotel I've stayed at, actually, so that was great. Drinking their Coca-Cola because that's all we drank. And just playing games with the kids. That's Duck Duck Goose. Got really dirty, but it was a good dirty. Making friends with people that were on our team. We had a great team, so that was wonderful. This is one of the little girls that got clothes, and she went and took a bath real quick and then came out wearing her new clothes so she could show them to us. And this is Elise's friend, Den. We did get to go to Antigua, which is really famous. We got to shop there for about an hour and a half. But this is what you see is people with hats on trying to sell you hats and just trying to sell you all kinds of things you don't need. Trying some new fruit. We tried lots of mangoes and papayas and plantain, which is like bananas, and they would fry them. It was interesting. Lots of black beans. On Valentine's Day, they took us out, so we got to go out for Valentine's Day. And I think Sam and Philip, were you guys in that group that got coconuts? They brought back coconuts. Lots of fun food. So we didn't have to eat rice and beans all week. So that was nice. We got good stuff.
Yeah, we can.
This one, I thought that was, because this was our breakfast, I thought that was like chocolate mousse with like a cinnamon chip on top, and it was black beans with a tortilla chip, so that was interesting for breakfast. Yeah, lots of good food and tortillas anytime you wanted them. What's that, Sam? That was your tamale? Is that what that was? That's a tamale. We got to go out for somebody's birthday, so they
house. Lydia says seeing another culture, she loved some of the families loved you before they even knew who you were. Scott says serving together in unity as a group and to those in need. Elle says lighting cement and trying to talk to the local kids. Lauren says working as a team to help so many others. And Elise says meeting all the people and seeing how everyone was so joyful, hopeful, and how much they trusted God. So altogether, we enjoyed the entire trip. It was amazing just but our favorite parts were being able to work with such a great team, both here and with Grace and North Liberty. Um, yeah.
And what was the most challenging part of the trip?
Said being sick and not being able to just run down to the pharmacy and get what he needed, and not being able to easily communicate with the native workers, not having time to be on his own. Phillips was ear problems, speech and language barrier. Mine was language barrier and seeing so many families that needed help and not being able to help them at that time. And the heat was very hot. Scott was seeing a physical suffering nearly every direction he looked. L, seeing other people in need that we were not able to help. Lauren, seeing so many people and so little and not being able to help more. And Elise was seeing the horrible poverty and all people that weren't able to help. And we had a couple people who were sick, Sam and Phil, and so that was some fun. The language barrier was an obvious challenge, but the biggest thing, most of all, agreed on was seeing the extreme amount of need all around us and not being able to help more. Seemed like for every one house we helped, there was 1,000 more we passed by.
Every day they would ask us, where did you see Jesus today? And sometimes it was in the team working together, and sometimes it was in the mom who had no food and was praising God. But every day we would be asked this question, where did you see Jesus, or where did you see God on this trip?
There are 4 Guatemalan people who we worked with, Sal, David, Hannah, and Rosie, and they were really hard workers and they were really patient with us, even though we couldn't really talk to them that well. And the locals there were so willing to come alongside and help their neighbors, and all the Guatemalan people would like be happy all the time, even though they have like so many hardships. They're always like thanking us and praising God for providing for them.
Would you go again? I got answers, absolutely, yes, absolutely, absolutely, definitely, already planning for the next trip, absolutely, and I will. I mean, it was pretty unanimous. It was a lot of hard work, but so life-changing, so worth it. We worked, like Elle said, we worked alongside a lot of the natives, and they were so grateful to have us there. And here we're learning how to use a drill a certain way, and they are so patient with us. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. What do you want to tell your church family about the trip?
Okay, I had a lot of long answers for this one, so it's not my fault if I take a long time. But the first one is thank you, because all of us love this so much, and we would not have been able to go if it weren't for all you guys. So, like, every single person said thank you, because we all loved it so much, and it would have been impossible without you guys. And the second most said thing is that if you can go, you need to go. I know that Sam and Phil, that's basically what they started off with, and every other person said that. If you're physically able to go, then you should, because like we have a lot of excuses, like work and school, except it was so worth it, and every single person wants to go back, and you definitely won't regret it. And that, like when you see these pictures, then you kind of become distant, like you're going to remember them for maybe a month, and then you just kind of forget about them. But if you go, then you'll be able to remember all these things, and they mean so much more to you. Like there's a picture of Din, the 5-year-old, that I just loved. He was laying on a bed, and then that you're like, oh, that's cute. But to us, then it was he had his first bed ever, and then he was just so happy, and he ran right in, and it was just amazing. And it is really life-changing. And there's a job for everyone, so don't try to make excuses like, I don't know how to use a drill, because half of us didn't know how, and we still built a house. And there's definitely a job for everyone. And if God's calling you, then you definitely need to go and at least just try it out. And God's going to work through everyone's skills, because even if you're not a good construction worker, you can still go and play with the kids. Or even if you can't speak Spanish, you can still communicate through your actions. And again, thanks. And then there's a quote that they told us, blessed are the flexible, for they will not be bent out of shape. And we use that a lot because we got a flat tire one day and a truck broke down, and we had a lot of challenging things, except for then you just keep going with it. And one more thing they told us was that these are the 3 ways you can help on the Great Commission. And if you don't know what that is, that's just basically where God tells us to go and make disciples or go and tell people about Jesus. And it was, you can either go like we did, you can give like a lot of you guys did, you can give money, or you can pray. And if you're not doing one of those things, you're not really doing the Great Commission.
I think kind of just to reiterate what Elise said, just a huge thank you from all of us. It really was amazing, and I'd love to talk about it and not cry about it, but, we had people texting us, sending us notes, cards, food for our families, or taking care of our families while we were gone. When we come back, people making food for us, just blessing after blessing from you guys. And so if there's anybody that wants to go, we have all kinds of information, and we will make it happen because it was such a wonderful thing for all of us.